Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahshai Bashim Rakakodah. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Anyway, I'm gonna entitle this video. I asked Chatgpt, when did Ezekiel 37:16 take place? So we're gonna go through this, and yesterday, which was so-called Sunday, we did a live sit down. It was myself, Apostle Gabar, and Bishop Menatizak and Bishop Abad. We did it for about 2 hours, almost exactly 2 hours. And I went into this, but I don't think I read the whole thing, because you know how we do. You read something, then brother has a precept, then it turns into another subject, goes another direction, and I'll try to get it back in. So before I go into this, and I kind of expected them to say they didn't really go deep on this. In another words, in a roundabout way, they're saying there's no record of this ever happening. So, we claim that we are those people. We are the fulfillment. The fact that we calling ourselves Israelites and we out there on the highways and the byways, going through the scriptures, Old and New Testament, we definitely take claim to Ezekiel 37:16 that we are those 12 tribes. It's not just about the tribe of Judah. It's about the 12 tribes. So now, before I go into this, like I said yesterday, I tried to cover this. I don't know how much I got into it, but I know I didn't read the whole thing. Relatively short. So I asked the question, white people, the descendants of Esau. This is the idea that white people are descendants of the Edomites is not supported by mainstream history. In other words, you ain't gonna learn the history books about. Their thing is to keep Edom. Who's the Edomite? What's the Edomite? I don't want to talk about Edom, because the elite scholars out there, they know exactly who every nation came out and what nation they stem from biblically, and they do know the Bible is everything that's in the Bible. They know that there's a heavenly Father. They know that there's Edomites. They know that they're Israelites. How are you going to go around saying I'm an Israelite or a Jew? I'm talking about the small hats. But the Edomites, when the question come up about the Edomites, nobody knows. We don't know nothing about the Edomites. Okay. This is the idea that white people are descendants of the Edomites is not supported by mainstream history, archaeology. So they claiming they never dug up nothing and found anything that has anything to do, relics dealing with Edom at all. They did find Quaz, which is the god of the Edomites, and he looks like Barry Manilow. It says, and Barry Manilow was a small hat, so hey, didn't have Negroid features. And the Most High, all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. The Heavenly Father led me. I don't know how I came across it, but the Most High led me to the God of the Edomites. At first, the God of the Edomites, like Esau, worshiped the Most High, Yahweh, called on Yahweh and all that. Then there was a point in time where the Edomites said, we're not going to call on Yahweh. We're going to set up our own God, and we're going to call his name Quaz. On the Hebrew is Qawas, I believe, which is a Hebrew name because the Edomites in Mount Seir, Mount Seir, they spoke Hebrew. When Jacob and Esau were going back and forth, and Esau was talking, going back and forth, conversing with his father Isaac, Esau was speaking pure Hebrew, and he was calling on the name of Yahweh. because they knew the name of Yahweh before Moses asked the name of Yahweh. They already knew the name of Yahweh, but they had many other names, as we've gone through in previous videos. Allah was one of his names, which means God. Allah Shadya, which means terrible God, a demon-like God. And also Yahweh. When you go back to Leah, Leah had a son and called his name Judah. And that word goes back to Yahweh, though, which is the Most High's name. So they knew the name, but he had other names. So the Most High set the record saying, this is my name. This is my name. I know I got different titles and nicknames and all that, but this is my name right here. When you call on somebody, you call on Yahweh. So anyway, so they know. They know who the Israelites are. They know they have their archaeologists all in the Middle East and the Levant digging up stuff. The icons up in Russia and different parts of Europe, black images. They know that the children of Israel, the sons of Israel, are so-called black people. They knew, at least the elite knew, during the transatlantic slave trade, or actually the transatlantic trade, they knew that when they gathered the Nigerians and the people of Northwest Africa, or West Africa, they knew that Ghana, places like that, they knew that they were enslaving Israelites. And they knew that it was a fulfillment. I'm talking about you scholars, the Edomite top scholars. They knew, or they know to this day, that Deuteronomy chapter 28 is a fulfillment of the transatlantic slave trade. They know that. This is why we don't deal with, you got Vocab, John Mark Reiser. Nah, they don't talk everything that. Oh, the Edomites are no. The Edomites are done away with. The Most High can't be black. No, the wool hair represents purity. Yeah, but what did Daniel see? What did John see? Or Yahanan see? He saw a black man with an afro. Now, whether it represented this, that, and the other, he saw a so-called black man with an afro. Yeah, but it represent. I'm not asking you what it represents. I'm asking what did he see? So this is why we come to the conclusion that don't even talk to a Christian. I don't care if he's a black Christian or a fucking white Christian, a Chinese Christian. Don't talk to them. They're bugged out people. So it says, it is a belief held in some fringe religions or racial ideologies, but it does not reflect established scholarship. We are not established scholarship. So when we say we're scholars, they say, no, you're not a scholar. Where's your degrees? What university did you attend? Established. Meaning established, they say, oh, this is the great school to learn the knowledge of the Most High in the Bible. So guess what? They don't acknowledge us, and that's just fine. Because we don't acknowledge y'all. So if you bring up a scholarly book, now you might have scholarly books that kind of back up what we say, like the commentary, the Bible Hub commentary. I always say they either hit or miss, and they'll say certain things to back up our claims. And it's not to say, oh, we believe what Esau said, but they said even the white man, the scholars say we agree with what we're saying. It is a belief held in some fringe religious or racial ideologies, but it does not reflect established Edomites scholarship. Here's a breakdown. Who were the Edomites? The Edomites were an ancient Semitic people, meaning they came from Shem. Now, if you ask a Christian, what is a Shemite? They don't know what a Shemite is. They don't know that it's all the sons that came out of Shem. Arphaxad, Elam, Ashur, was Ashur. I said Arphaxad, Ashur, Aram. And matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me go back to it. I hadn't gone through it in so long. Let me go to Genesis, which we call the Table of Nations 10. Elam was one, Aphaxad, Ashur, Aram, and was Lud another one? Give me a second. Okay, so it says every person that you see on the planet Earth come from one of the three sons of Noah. Right, it says here, unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet the elder, even to him were children born. Okay, the children of Shem, right? So when the small hats say, they'll say Sem, which is pronounced Shem, or Shum. The children of Shem, Lud. It was in my mind, Lud, but I wasn't sure. So I did get all of them right. It says Elam, Ashur, Aphaxad. Ashur are the Assyrians. I'm sorry. Ashur are the people of Syria. Then you have you got Ashur, Aphaxad, Lud, and Aram. So these were all in the Levant. So the line now comes down. Out of those 5 sons of Shem, it said these are the sons of Shem, because it was breaking down what the chosen line was going to come out of. Out of Noah, you had Shem, Japheth, and Ham, and it came down to Shem. Out of Shem, you had those 5 nations: Aphaxad, Aram, Ashur, Lud, Elam. I think I mentioned all 5 of them. So out of those 5 sons, the chosen line went through who? Through Aphaxad. Christians don't know this. It says these are the sons of Shem after their family, after their tongue, in their lands, after their nations. Now, you know what I got to do? Let me do this. Because you got to know the biblical history. Give me a second. Okay, Aphaxad. Okay, so we're going to find out how many times Aphaxad. Okay, and Aphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber, which are the Hebrews. And out of Eber, or Hebrew, and unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of the one son, Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. So let's look up Peleg. This is really back to the basics. Okay, it's one time. You know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Let me open it up. Like Apostle Paul said in Romans 9, just because they're sons of Abraham doesn't make them the chosen. Where the hell is Peleg? Peleg. Pelag. Pelag. Division, son of Eber, and brother of Joktan. And you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Okay, Pelag is written there. Okay, and Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. 17 verse Genesis 11. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 420 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Rehu. So this is that chosen line. So out of Peleg and Joktan, when you go back to Noah, you go back to his 3 sons, you go back to their sons, they're narrowing down who the chosen is. Then it comes down to Abraham. Then from Abraham, it comes down to Isaac. Then from Isaac, it comes down to Jacob and Esau. So Esau is the closest to that chosen line, which are the small hats, which are these Edomites, white people. So they can actually say that they're Shemites, but they don't understand it. Back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. So anyway, where am I? Let's come back over here. It says, who were the Edomites? The Edomites were an ancient Semitic. As a Christian, what is meant by Semitic? If you're a Jewish person. But what does Semitic mean? Why do they call themselves Semitic? Why don't they just call themselves, why don't they say you're anti-Jewish? Why do they say anti? What does Semitic mean? Where's that in the Bible? They don't know, unless you're a scholar. Semitic people closely related to the Israelites. How are they closely related to Israelites? You had Moab Semitic, the Arabs, Ishmael are Semitic. So when you say that I'm anti-Semitic, which group of Semites are you talking about? Because I'm a Semitic too. Am I anti myself? If you say something negative to me as a small hat, does that make you anti-Semitic? Like I said, the Christians don't know. The Christians are not deep when it comes to the Bible unless they go to a theological cemetery. They lived in the region of Edom. You ask a Christian, where's the land of Edom at? They don't know. They couldn't tell you where the Red Sea is. They couldn't tell you where Egypt is. They couldn't tell you where Jerusalem is, which is in present day southern Jordan and southern Israel. According to the Bible, they descended from Esau. Right, that's the man, the brother of Jacob. Genesis 36. Who are white people? Now, let's do this. Who are white people? I didn't ask that. Oh, I'm sorry, I did. Are white people the descendants of the Edomites? I did answer that. Ask that. Who are white people? The term white people is a modern racial classification. That's right. That was in 16. You got to ask the elder out of Chicago, head of Chicago, Malcolm. He did videos on that showing you that's a construct. You know, the white race, the yellow race, the black race. And that was in the 1600s, if I'm not mistaken. The exact year, I don't know. Somebody help me out. Usually referring to people of European descent. The original Europeans were sons of Japhet. That's why you got this guy, what's this guy, Ron Dalton. He's saying that the white people are so-called white people are descended of Japhet. He doesn't understand that they're Edomites. Europeans trace their ancestry to a combination of Indo-European hunter-gatherer and Neolithical. Neo meaning new, lithical meaning stone, new stone, like the new Stone Age. Farming populations. Where does the idea come from? Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. Some groups, example given, e.g., certain black Hebrew Israelite sects or British Israelism. What is British Israelism? We're going to go into that in a minute. There's actual Edomites that, like we got the 12 tribes sign. Well, they're saying the British Israelism, the Europeans are saying that we are the Israelites. The tribe of Judah is in England, the tribe of Manasseh is in Scotland, or whatever. So you can know that. So you can know the difference between, they call us a black Hebrew Israelite, and the British Israelism, which, by the way, both of these groups are first main groups mentioned in Project Megiddo. They didn't give you a whole lot of different groups. The Project Megiddo, you can read it for yourself. You can go on the web. You can read it on a PDF. Will come up and you can read it. And the first groups that they mentioned are the Black Hebrew Israelites, and this was before Project Megiddo came out, before 2000, because they saying in the year 2000. Black Hebrew Israelites, they're going to kill everybody, and the British Israelites, they're going to start all kind of chaos, and all this mess. But supposedly in 2000, the whole the brouhaha of the whole 2000 thing was about the computers are going to die, all computers are going to, crash, because it's only set up to go to the year 2000, which was bullshit. This is some groups, e.g., certain black Hebrew Israelite sects or British Israelism, claim that modern Jews so you got Europeans that saying other Europeans are not the people, or white Europeans are descendants of Edom, claim that modern Jews or white Europeans are descendants of Edom, Esau, often a theological or racial claim. Well, it's both. The big thing now is how they say it. Christians say the Israelites, with the Israelites, it's about race, but it's not about race, it's about grace. Nope, it's about race and grace. And we spoke on that yesterday, because they're saying this is all about race. It is about race, because you cannot be saved unless you're part of that particular race. White Europeans are descendants of Edom or Esau, often as a theological or racial claim. So we're putting in both a theological, biblical, godlike, and or racial claim. These claims are not based on historical or genetic evidence, and are generally seen as a pseudo history. Pseudo history is like false history or anti-history. What do scholars say? White established scholars. There is no credible academic evidence linking, but I thought Esau was wiser than Daniel, and there's nothing they can hide from these, so they have to know. Linking white Europeans to Edomites. Yeah, well, no, that's preposterous. I know. I can't see that. I just can't see that. Genetic. They were in the Middle East. They were in the Levant, and all the people were dark, except for Jesus. He was white. Genetic studies show Edomites were Levantine Semites, meaning they lived in the Levant, right, in Mount Seir. And modern Europeans are genetically distinct from ancient Semitic population of the southern Levant. If you're asking from a religious, historical, or cultural angle, I can help clarify different perspectives, but it's important to separate faith-based beliefs from evidence-based history. Because we don't have to bring out books to prove this proves we dug this up. We went to Egypt ourselves. We dug that up, and that's Moses. And you can see he's black. And we went to David's tomb. And no, we're doing it based upon a faith-based belief. We don't have to give you evidence. Now, if we do have evidence, so here's evidence to back up what we said, to back up our claim. Let me know how you'd like to explore this further. So now let's go from here to, when did Ezekiel 37:16 take place? Because there's a big controversy with the 12 tribe sign. The group or groups that carry the 12 tribe sign, with Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and so forth, they're close to the Most High. And they would all be former One Westers, like ICBK, IUIC, GMS. You had like Sakari, that part of the leadership was a part of GMS, so they have the same 12 tribes. You got Wi-Fi, which the leadership of Wi-Fi came around us, and they put a 12 tribe sign together, and they put a spin on. They took what they learned from us and certain other groups, and they kind of said we ain't gonna go with this thing that GMS says concerning the mark, but we're gonna take this, we're gonna take that, which showing you that the Most High is not dealing with it. Most High is not dealing with Wi-Fi, period, at all. Could there be elect in there? Yeah, of course. Let me read it again. Ezekiel 37:16 is a verse from the prophetic book of Ezekiel in the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament. It does not describe a historic event in the sense of, well, it describes a prophetic event, because that whole book is prophetic. And I may just put in Ezekiel 37 just to get a overview of the whole, how they break down the whole chapter that took place on a particular date. Yeah, the vision took place. Instead, it is part of a prophetic vision. So this vision, this prophecy, is coming to pass when we got the. How do we know it came to pass? When you see brothers on the street with the 12 tribe sign, with symbolic meaning. Here is Ezekiel 37:16 in the ESV. Son of man, take a stick. The word, when you go into the Hebrew, the word is plank, like a plank of wood. So you put the tribes on a plank of wood and write on it for Judah and the people of Israel associated with him, meaning the kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, Levi. When they went over to West Africa, they picked up Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and some of the other tribes that stayed from the northern kingdom that stayed with Judah. That's in 2 Chronicles 30, if I'm not mistaken. Then take another stick or another plank and write on it for Joseph. Now, Vocab said, in Revelation 7, when it speaks about the 144,000, 12,000, we know that it's not talking about the Israelites, the national Israel. It's talking about the body of believers, of Christians of all nations. And he said that the term is replacement theology. Replacement theology, there's another term for it. I can't even think of it right now because I looked it up and it gave me the other term. Replacement theology. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Give me a second. Let me come back over here. Bear with me for a minute. Okay. I'm going to answer this here. Replacement theology, meaning. Replacement theology, meaning. Yeah, supersessionism. Supersessionism. So this is replacement theology or supersessionism. Replacement theology, also known as supersessionism, is a Christian theological concept that posits that the Christian church has replaced Israel as God's chosen people. So there will be spiritual Israel. And inheritor of the biblical covenants, essentially it argues that the Jewish people rejection of Jesus as the Messiah led to God rejecting them and transferring all the blessings and promises previously given to Israel to the Christian church. So the Israelites ain't gonna get it, or the Jews ain't gonna get it, but they kissed the Jews' small hat's ass. So that's what vocab said. So when you read anything about Israel and the Gentiles, it's talking about other nations. The new covenant is coming to other nations, which is spiritual Israel. This is why we call the cops on them. This is why we don't deal with them. This is why we don't engage in debate with them. First of all, they're not deep. They're not deep. They'll never. If you challenge them to a debate into, we're going to cover 10 different prophetic. We're gonna have a debate on Revelation. How deep do you know Revelation, the book of Revelation, or how deep do you know Daniel 7, or Daniel 2, or Jeremiah 50? They don't know. They don't. Do they ever go into that? They'll say, well, we're going to prove that God and the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit is the same. And the Gentiles can make it. Not realizing in the New Testament, the Gentiles are Israelites. So, let me come on back. So now you know. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so Son of Man, take a stick, right on it, Judah and people, and companions. Then another stick for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, right? So now what vocab says is, Revelation chapter 7, when it speaks about the 144,000, that's talking about the body of believers, the Christians. That's not talking about Israelites. How do we know that? Because it doesn't say Ephraim, it says Joseph. Matter of fact, let me go to that. Yeah, but any scholar will tell you that, any real scholar will tell you that Joseph in the Bible and Ephraim are interchangeable. Let's go to Revelation 7. Back to the basics. Okay, I want to go to Joseph. Give me a second. Waiting for it to pop up. Okay. Joe. Okay, we found it. So it goes to the 12 tribes, and the last tribe is the tribe of Zebulun, was sealed. 12,000 of the tribe of Joseph was sealed. So vocab's argument be, well, see, that proves that they're not talking about the actual Israelites, because it says Joseph right here. Joseph is interchangeable with the tribe Ephraim. So when you're reading Joseph, you got to explain to people that's talking about the tribe of Ephraim. Namely, matter of fact, let me come on back to it. Because it even says it right here. Then take another stick and write on it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim. So when you go back to Revelation chapter 7, when it says Joseph, you tell them that means the tribe of Ephraim, because Joseph was not a tribe. Ephraim and Manasseh were two tribes that came out of Joseph the man. So when you hear the word Joseph, Jacob in Isaiah 14 is referring to Jacob is interchangeable with the Israelites and with Judah, sometimes with Judah, and all the house of Israel associated with him. Context and interpretation. This verse is part of Ezekiel's vision of the two sticks, which symbolize the reunification. The reunification, meaning the two tribes are going to come together. Where in history did the two kingdoms come together? It's nowhere in history. When is it going to take place? It's taking place as we see, in the form of the Hebrew Israelite. That's why you go to certain camps, you'll see Jake, dark-skinned Jake. You see lighter-skinned Jake. You see a Jake reading. He got a Benjaminite accent. Or somebody Spanish might come up, and you might get a brother that look Puerto Rican or Cuban or whatever, Dominican, and he'll start speaking in Spanish to the person that only speaks Spanish. Now, you know what I'm noticing about IUIC? And they said certain Latin tribes, so Northern Kingdom tribes that was part of IUIC and left, they said that the IUIC is pretty much tribalist. That they kind of look down on it. I'm talking about certain guys that came out and did videos exposing them. And I noticed that when they have the march, there's all dark-skinned Jake with woolly hair. You might see no, it's hard. 99% of them motherfuckers is dark skin, looking like Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. So I don't know if he has a problem with. There was certain faces that I used to see that was Ephraim. One brother, I don't know. I ran into him with. It was two of the brothers. What was the brother's name? Was it Gadaliah, if I'm not mistaken? I believe his name was. And the other brother, I forget his name. Maybe I never even heard of his name. I heard of his name, I'm sure. But he looked like Jake, but he had a Latin flavor to him. He had like a slight accent. And I met both of them. We took pictures and we shook hands and stuff. And I haven't seen him. So I don't know if he became disenchanted. I don't know if he just left because of internal strife or whatever the case may be. If he did leave, you're still obligated to teach his word, brother. That don't mean you're no longer Israelite. If you actually left IUIC, you got to start your own thing up, and you got to be out there on the highways and the byways, and you got people that follow you. You build it up. If you're one of the elect, I give credit to Genesis. When Genesis broke off, seemingly one got kicked out, the other left, Hakar and Hassad. And what did? They set up Genesis, and they got followers too. So that's what you're supposed to do. If for some reason somebody treats you bad in this organization, well, you start your own one, because it doesn't stop you from being a prophet if you believe you're a prophet. It's important. And I realized, I believe it was Dallas, Texas. If not Dallas, it's Houston. You had a Sakari group out there. You had the dark-skinned brother with the short dreads. And I saw a video. Video came across the thumbnail, and I clicked on it, and I noticed they had T-shirts that said Masada on it. So I said, what's? So I said, and in my mind I said maybe they break off too. And I found out through what's his brother Ariala, the House of Bread, that he was speaking on it. But I knew that I said Masada. That means they ain't with Sakari no more. But they kept teaching. They just kept teaching. And that's what you're supposed to do. Okay? And the brother of Masada, I guess he used to be the head, one of the heads or whatever. He's always out there speaking. When I do watch him speak, he does speak from the heart, meaning he's sincere. There's certain brothers that you can see that's speaking from the heart, that they speaking sincerely, man. And some brothers just, let me say this. I really don't believe in this shit. Hey, like when we did the live show last night, we were only gonna do, I think we were gonna do about an hour, and wound up being something like hour and a half. So I told them, I said, "Yo, it's 7:30, brother," and they were kind of. No, I think I said it was almost. I said it was 7:30, and I said it's 8, and it felt like 10 minutes only went by because it was kind of went by quick. Then I said it's 8 o'clock, and I was saying we're gonna close it at 8 o'clock, and they gave me that look, and they went, we ain't closing nothing. So we kept going. So I felt their spurts, whether they had to get up early or whatever the case may be. I don't want to leave them there all night. I don't want to have a marathon class. So I kept my eyes on the clock, right? It says Judah, Southern Kingdom, Joseph, Ephraim, northern kingdom, often called Israel. Didn't I say that? I will have mercy. I would, for I would, damn, I hate this. The Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Why did he say Judah then Israel if Judah is part of Israel? Because he's talking about Jacob, Judah, Israel, the rest of the tribes. When they all come together, then they all as one, they're known as the Israelites. That's in Hebrews chapter 8. They're talking about the covenant. It's coming to the Israelites. As a division takes place during the Babylonian exile, sometimes, and remember, during the Babylonian Empire, you had multiple prophets that lived, that saw each other, that were contemporaries. So some of them were young, some of them were older, some of them were middle age. Just like today, we got brothers that came into GMS that were 16, 17 years old, and they're grown men now. You got young cats in there that were 17, 18 years old that now have a family, that are grown men. You understand? It says the vision takes place during the Babylonian exile, sometimes after 597 BCE, before the Common Era, and especially after 586 BCE, when Jerusalem was destroyed. So those prophecies that the prophets were prophesying about Jake going into captivity, those prophets were contemporaries like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. It says the act of joining the two sticks or planks in verse 17 and onward symbolizes the Most High's promise to reunite the 12 tribes and restore Israel as what? One nation. Because what has to be fulfilled before the destruction and deliverance come, that the two kingdoms got to come back together, starting with the elect. When did Ezekiel 37:16 take place? Date of division? No, when did the prophecy take place? Not when the vision took place. Likely around the 6th century BCE during the Babylonian exile, approximately 593 to 571 BCE is when Ezekiel received most of his vision. But when did it come to pass? They're not going to tell you because they don't know. We're telling you it's coming to pass right before your eyes. That's Psalms 50 and 16 on down. They shall be assembled right before your eyes. I'm not going to go to it. It's a nature of event. It's a prophetic vision, meaning it's going to happen in the future. So when did it happen? It's happening right now. Esau can't see it. And I believe that Trump pushing out the northern kingdom and now he's going for the southern kingdom, I believe they told him, the elite told him, look, push him out the country. That way they won't unite. And the prophecy won't come to pass. But the prophecy is going to come to pass. And the 144,000 is going to be here in America. Okay, not a literal historical event. Right, but a prophetic event. Ezekiel 37 verse 16 is a symbolic vision that likely took place during the Babylonian exile around 580s to 570s BCE, but it does not describe a historic event, meaning there's no record of them ever coming back. During the Assyrians, when the Assyrians took down the kingdom, the northern kingdom, they never came back. Never came back. It communicates a prophetic message about the what? The future reunification of Israel. And they're not going to say it's us. But what Edomites are carrying around a 12 tribe sign? You know what I'm going to do? Let me come over here. Okay, I got to find this again. Where the hell is it? Give me a second here. Okay, this is different. Let me try this one. I thought it was on this page. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted. So I said I was going to look up British Israelism. Like I said, the Israelites and the British Israelism are both mentioned in the Project Megiddo. Why they mention both of them? Because both of these groups say that them people that call themselves the Jays are not the Jays. So who's behind the Project Megiddo? It has to be the Jays. So now let's come over here. Let me get ready to close. And the difference between Christians and us, we're constantly growing. We're constantly growing. We're like the juggernaut. Whatever you give us, whatever terminology you give us, we've mastered that. We memorize it, we throw it right back at your face. You know what? Let me do it this way. Put in meaning. British Israelism, so-called Anglo-Israelism, is a pseudo-historical belief that people of Great Britain are genetically, racially, and linguistically tell you that they're Israelites. But let's come down here. British Israelism, also known as Anglo-Israelism, is a pseudo-scientific theory of false science that posits that the people of Great Britain and other Western European, like Scotland, England, Germany, France, are direct descendants of the 10 tribes. So they're saying that the 10 tribes went to go back to Kings, 2 Kings 17, that they went to Europe. They didn't go to the Americas, where the Northern Kingdom went to the Americas. The 10 lost tribes of ancient Israel, this belief suggests that these tribes migrated to Europe after being exiled by the Assyrian Empire. Now I'm going to go onto the map and I'm going to show you that this don't make no sense. Eventually settling in Britain and becoming the ancestors of the British, English, and related people. Now let me go to the map. So according to the Apocrypha and according to 2 Kings 17, actually the Apocrypha, okay, let me do this. Okay, this is, give me a second. I don't need this. Okay, this is, okay, so this is, give me a second, y'all. This is Palestine. The Assyrians took us down around in this region, and then they escaped to Europe. Now you're gonna find more. That's all land right there. That's all land. That's not. This is I believe this is the. I believe this is the Black Sea, if I'm not mistaken. It ain't gonna take a year and a half to go from here to here. It ain't gonna take a year and a half. If there's all land you can drive from here to here in what, a couple hours? Let me see something. Okay, that's 1,000 miles. That's a long drive. From here, come up this way. We're talking about a little bit more than 1,000 miles. And you got Greece over there. You had Paul that was in Jerusalem, right? And he went up into Greece. Turkey. Oh, Paul was all up in here. He was in Athens. He was in Corinth. So that's bullshit that they say, oh, we're the people in the Northern Kingdom that went from Israel by the Assyrians. No, because it ain't going. First of all, you can't take a ship. Now you can take a ship to a certain spot. Then you have to get on land, and then you're gonna have to walk here. I mean, you could do this, but you think a ship is gonna take a year and a half to get here? No, the ship came. When you see the ship, Richard, inside joke. The ship came from around here down the Horn of Africa, and I guess they set sails, landed right here. Then it went up. That's the year and a half. So that clearly shows you that these people that call themselves British Israelim are not the descendants of the 10 lost tribes. So they really don't know what's going on. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom on to the next shalom. Let me see. Close this.